Back with more news now, and one of the big stories that came out yesterday and actually today in the newspaper was that the Trinity Church building was going to have to be voted on again before the sale. As a matter of fact, the story that was reported today in the Sun, first reported, was that the church would have to have the full congregation to vote on the sale of the church, which was strange considering that it was already believed to have been something that was going forward. There was no other steps needed by the church, but that apparently not correct, at least according to that story. With us now to help us to learn a little bit more, about this, is Chad Gonzales. Thank you for coming in and joining us on short notice. Appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Honored to be here.
Yes, so there is, I don't think it's wrong to say there's some controversy going on around this. We've got a bunch of stuff here people will see on the desk that you and I have been talking about and going over this, and we'll get to all this. So my first question for you is, the story that's in the Sun today, it discusses, I think it seems like point of contention is the sale of the church.
Right.
Just to jump straight into it, was the congregation consulted about the sale of the church beforehand, in this instance or overall in general?
They knew that we were going to be selling the property. Mm-hmm. That's been known for almost 2 years. There's been signs out there, Hague Brown signs out there on the property. Mm-hmm. Everybody's known that it's going to be for sale. And then I think the offer from the school came to us around, mid-September, early September. Mm-hmm. And so at that point, it was a board decision. And, we thought it was a good offer considering everything. And so we agreed to that. So
the board voted on that, and the board made that decision to agree to that.
Yeah, we agreed to the contract with the school and the sales price, and so move forward.
The original price was, the list price was, what was it, 4 point?
The original listing price, that I believe, was 4.7 million.
And the agreed upon price for the school was
2.5.
2.5. So you had to take a little bit less for it than initially had hoped.
Yeah, that's you're looking at the listing and what we saw, it's a pretty significant.
It's a pretty
difference
significant
there.
cut, yeah.
And so,
but it had been listed for how long?
About 2 years.
Okay, so that's for folks that don't know, that's a very long time for a listing.
That's a long time, and then when you're looking at, this is a special purpose building.
Right.
So that automatically limits, your potential buyers. Mm-hmm. And, a lot of people, if they don't know everything that's going on the inside, the outside, you think, okay, yeah, it's prime property, 25,000 square foot building. Yeah, it should be worth a couple $1 million, something like that.
Sure.
But what people don't realize is that, or most people don't realize, is that the property is zoned residential still, and so if we were to try to do that, rezone it, we were facing kind of an uphill battle in that, time-wise, financially, and we didn't want to anger anybody and mess up any relationships in the community, and so with the school, it was a good buyer for us because just like a church, a school can go into any zone, doesn't affect that, so. Selling to the school, that wasn't going to be an issue. And, the other thing that we found was that the building, because of the age of it, it was really kind of proven, no value to people, because it was going to be a lot of money to bring it up to code. And so, considering all of those factors, we thought it was a good deal for us, and obviously a good deal for the school.
For those who don't know, we're showing you on the screen the map of the location, that we're talking about here. It's on Southwest, just off Southwest Drive. You would turn down Highland Drive, and then it would be right there, kind of on the side. So as we pull out here, we'll just show you it's that red dot that's right there.
Yeah, and so it's, tremendous for the school district because the high school's right here.
You can see the high school on the map. That's right up there.
And the administration building is right over here. Mm-hmm. And so they have it's a 15-acre, roughly 15-acre tract, and so it gives them great potential to expand in the future. So it was a win-win for us and a win-win for them.
So where did you first learn that people were not going to be happy about this?
Well, that's just life.
Really?
Well, Trinity Church, the church has been going almost 40 years, I think about 37, 38 years. Mm-hmm. And, just human nature, we get attached to things. Sure. And so there's a lot of people that have spent, quite a bit of their lives there at the church, children being raised there and special events and stuff like that. And so it's just human nature to be kind of attached, to some of those type of things. And so we knew, in moving forward, that there was going to be a little contention there with people who, are emotionally attached to the building.
Yes.
But as a church, we realized that, we should realize that, the church is not a building, it's the people. And so ultimately, it's just some 2x4s and sheetrock. As far as I'm concerned, Jesus didn't die for the 2x4s and the sheetrock, he died for the people. And so that's our mission as a people. And we're not really interested in building monuments. We're trying to build a movement. And, but again, taking those things into consideration, we knew, there's going to be some emotions there. But in the bigger picture, it was better for us to be able to sell the property and move. Progress doesn't come without change. And change is hard for people sometimes.
It can be.
So
my question, now, it's documented in the story, but we're going through it in case none of you read the thing. The story, the reports were that the church congregation was going to vote on this. However, from our conversations and in the report too, you had mentioned that that's not what the church's, I guess, what's it called? Charter, constitution, or how does that work?
Constitution, your bylaws that governs, the organization.
And you had mentioned, just for clarity, that there was actually a vote, was it this year?
There was a vote that was taken in March.
Of this year on the bylaws.
On the bylaws. So up until March, the church had always, part of that bylaws, the congregation had a vote in everything. But as of March, we had a congregational meeting. We followed the rules like we were supposed to. We announced it several weeks in advance. And those prior bylaws stated we had to put it in print, and we did. And we followed all that, and then we had the meeting. It was unanimous. Everybody that was there saw all the hands go up.
Were there a lot of people there?
There was, I don't remember the exact number, roughly about 60 people.
Okay, all right.
And so everybody saw the hands go up. It was unanimous. And even those that are kind of in contention with things, they will tell you, yes, all the hands went up.
They voted for it too?
Yeah. All those that were there, they all raised their hands. And so we passed those bylaws. When we moved forward, that was in March. Well, then it was, this past September when the school district, approached us with an offer. And so, at that point, there was no congregational vote needed, to approve the sale. That was, up to, our board of directors.
So, according to the title company, though, they're going to require a vote of the congregation now.
Right.
And as I ask you, why is that, if that's not in the charter? Generally speaking, I understand from what I'm understanding from you is that that's more of a safety decision, more of a better to be safe than sorry thing.
Right.
Would that be accurate?
Yeah, for them, I understand. They received a phone call from an attorney in town, and he said he represented, some unnamed people. It was about 6 of them, and that they had concerns about the sale. Saying that we weren't following, our bylaws and stuff, even though our bylaws specifically states there's no congregational vote on this. But so it got to, they called the title company, and so with all that, the underwriter, just to make sure everything was on the up and up, and make sure they were covered, they told us they want us to have, a congregational vote. So again, we're not required to by our bylaws, but I told him, it was fine, we'd be agreeable to that. We just wanted to make sure, everything was taken care of. And so they said we had to announce it a week before, which we announced it last Sunday. And so we'll have a vote this Sunday morning at 10 for our active members. And we'll take that vote, and then we'll submit all the documentation that they're asking for on Monday.
So the vote has to actually be 1/3, if I'm correct, and correct me if I'm wrong, 1/3 of members have to be present, and 2/3 of the 1/3 then must vote for it.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what they're asking for, and so that's what we're.
Okay.
That's what we're doing.
That's what they're asking for.
Yeah, we're not. Our bylaws don't require it, but that's what they're asking for. So we said we'd do that.
If you wanted to, you could. I mean, I'm not saying you will. I'm not encouraging to. Obviously, I'm just asking. But what you're telling me is, if you wanted to, you could stick to this legally. What's been done.
Yeah, legally, we're bound to our bylaws.
Sure.
But they're saying for them to ensure the title, this is what they're asking for.
Oh yeah, okay, I see what you're talking about.
So we said, hey, whatever it takes, that's what we'll do. So
one of the big parts of the story, I guess this was probably one of the more controversial elements maybe to the story as well, was that it was reported that some individuals had received notes or letters excommunicating them. The report was that it was because that they had disagreed with you or that they had spoken out. As we were going into this, I'd ask you a few questions before we started, but I got to ask you again. I mean, are you excommunicating members because they're not agreeing with you?
No, I mean, that's just childish, you know. We should be able to, we should be able to disagree and still be adults. Even my wife and I, we don't agree on everything, you know.
No.
I'm serious, man. Like literally, we don't agree on anything. But yeah, I mean, obviously there's people that don't agree with the sale. They don't agree with the sale price. But those people that disagree with it, I mean, you're talking about a very, very small, we're talking about a handful of people. If the reporter would have actually talked to people in our church, everybody's excited about this. And we're ready to move forward in it. But yeah, that was the piece that we had a real problem with in the story, is that basically there's allegations that we, you know, I think that was his term, excommunicated or exiled or something, people. And it was based on anonymous sources. And yet, you know, I've got the letters right here. And I told him that I had the letters, and I sent him the letters. But, you know, they obviously didn't do anything with that in the story, because the letters totally disprove the fact that, you know, we kicked people out and told them don't come back.
Well, the letters, and I'm looking at one of them right here, the letter states, dear name, person that it's addressed to, in response to statements made pertaining to your membership at Trinity, dear name, in response to statements made pertaining to your membership at Trinity Church. This letter is to confirm that your name will no longer be included on the list of congregational members as of December 4th, 2017. We would like to express our sincere appreciation for many years of faithful service to Trinity Church. We are believing that God's richest and best be yours as you join another ministry. Sincerely, you know, whomever would have signed it. The allegation, I guess, is that they got these letters after they said, we don't want to sell the church, or we don't think this sale should go through, or we think you should charge more money. Is that how it went?
No, actually, it was the individuals that these letters were sent to. They let us know a week ago that, you know, they were no longer going to be attending here. Now with, I would say, two of them, I know that they did disagree with the sale. But I mean, other than that, you know, they told us that they were leaving. And so, like a lot of other churches here in town, you know, if they let us know that they're no longer going to be attending, then we send a letter letting them know we're taking them off the membership roll. There's no mention in here that, you know, you're out of here and you can't come back or something like that. But if you read the report in the Sun, you know, it makes it sound like, hey, you disagree with us, you get out of here.
That's what it sounded like the anonymous sources were saying, was that you did not agree with them, and therefore goodbye.
Right.
In the conversations, you're saying they brought up, or they mentioned to you that they were no longer going to be attending services there.
They said that they were leaving the church, no longer going to be attending there. Told myself, my wife, a couple of our different leaders within the church, and so.
How long after that normally happens, when you don't have, we'll say, a congregational vote coming up on the sale of the church, would that take for a letter like this to go out? Here's my question, let's jump to it. Did this go out faster because of what's going on, or is this normal for this to have gone out in this time?
No, I mean, that's our policy, is that if somebody lets us know where they're going, then we take them off of our roll. Because, you know, I mean, people don't think about it, but these things, it's things that a bank looks at when you're going to do a loan. You know, they won't know how many people you have there and this and that. There's lots of different issues of these. They want to know these numbers, and so that they let us know on Sunday, and you know, those letters went out that week. Now, I mean, again, like the story hit yesterday, or wait, no, today.
Yeah, it would have hit today.
Yeah, the story hit today.
It was written yesterday.
Those letters went out last Thursday, I think.
So last Thursday, and they would have spoken to you how many days maybe beforehand?
On that Sunday.
Would have been just, yeah, about the same week.
Right.
Okay. And that's normal. I mean, like if a member comes to you and says that, you know, we're leaving, Is it pretty normal for within the same week for a letter to be sent out to them?
Yeah, I mean, we'll send it out. I mean, actually, I had an older gentleman call me yesterday morning. You know, he travels from probably about 15, 20 minutes away, and one of the ones, I mean, I just love him. I hate to see it, but you know, he's in his 90s, and he said just because of his eyesight, he's just having a hard time making the drive, and he called me personally. He said, I just wanted you to know, you know, I'm not going to be able to make the drive anymore. And so the same thing with him. I mean, you know, our office has been closed. We close it down today and tomorrow. But,
Sure.
You know, Monday we'll send out a letter to him, and I mean, same thing, you know.
Yeah. And the letter I read to y'all, by the way, is the same across all four, or excuse me, is this four that I have here? I think it is that you brought in. Yeah. 4 letters that have been sent out, and they do, I mean, the dates have changed on a couple of them. Instead of congregational members as of December 4th, one of them changed to December 6th, but these are all the same. So as for what was in the letters, I think we've at least settled that, or we've settled based on what we have right here.
Right.
You know, the matter. I think there might, you know, I'm just thinking as a perspective, to use maybe a term that I probably shouldn't go with here, but devil's advocate. You know, my thought is, well, did you send out a really nice letter following a really not so nice conversation?
No.
Okay.
No, there's all of these individuals. There's of those representing these letters. There's two individuals that I actually had, you know, a conversation with.
Okay.
In regards to the disagreements and stuff.
You have about, you said roughly, give or take a few, 250 or so members a week. That's a fair number or so.
Total, you know, roughly about 250 people.
Well, what would you say the percentages of people that you're having a blowback on for this would be?
I mean, it's really, really small. I mean, literally, like with this story and all this stuff that's going on, I mean, literally talking about 5 to 10 people tops.
Okay, so 2% maybe, 3%, something like that of the congregation.
Minimal.
Yeah. Now I did see something that, and I think that a lot of people would raise their eyebrows at this at first. I did, at least, and then you explained it to me a little more. But it's a bit unusual, at least from my understanding. Apparently, church funds used to buy, used to invest in a strip mall.
Right.
According to the story. My first question, is that accurate? Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So are we talking about like savings funds that were then used, instead of just setting in a savings account, you put it in real estate to draw money as you would draw interest? I mean, what are we doing here with that?
Well, it's this type of thing. You know, some people, well, let's talk about church. Some churches, you know, if they're looking to raise money for a building, they'll have what they'll call a capital fund campaign.
Okay.
And they'll do these things to raise money and get people to give money and, you know, pledge money over a couple of years.
Sure.
And then others, you know, they'll have their pie sales and bake sales and cookie sales and selling candy bars for $1.
Like candy bars.
And trying to raise up money.
Yeah.
Which there's nothing wrong with that. But, you know, there's also nothing wrong with thinking outside the box.
Very true.
And so instead of relying on, you know, $5 cookies, we decided to be wise, and we had an opportunity to come along, and so we invested some money into this towards this strip center. And so
where is it at?
It's Southgate Plaza on Southwest Drive.
Okay.
And so with that, you know, it's a great thing. It provides us additional income, and so as a church, the more income that we have, the more that we can do within the community.
Sure.
And
you have to pay the bills.
Got to pay the bills. But, you know, I mean, with that, yeah, we had people that didn't like that too.
Sure.
And made statements like, well, you know, I don't understand, you know, what a church has to do with, you know, combining business. But people forget, you know, even though it's a church, you still got an electric bill to pay, and you know, we don't have a mortgage, but you know, you got more, you got bills to pay.
Yeah.
And then it costs money to do ministry. It's not free. You know, nobody takes faith checks or cards or anything like that. And so we just looked at this as being a good steward of our finances. And you know, I've told some people, you know, that again, you know, say the bake sales, they'll do the bake sales and don't think anything wrong with it because that's normal within a church.
To raise money through a bake sale.
Yeah, but you know, it doesn't matter who you are, what you're doing. Anytime you do something that's outside the normal, people kind of look at that and like, what are you doing that for?
Right.
But when you just take a step back and kind of just take the blinders off, it's just good business sense to do that. And, you know, people, they've got their money in a savings account, you know, getting like 0.001% interest, you know.
Big number there, yeah.
Huge. But they do that because, hey, you know, if I got money sitting in my checking account, why not put it over here so I can get a little bit of interest on it? Well, we're doing the same thing, just doing it on a larger scale. And
it's a little bit harder to make a withdrawal, but
a little bit harder, but, you know, real estate is usually a really, really good investment.
That's true, and I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an unbiased statement. I'm saying that as somebody that invests in real estate myself. But so the question that comes to mind is this something that the whole congregation voted on, or did the board vote on this one?
Well, again, this is something that we did latter part of August, first part of September. So
Okay.
didn't require a congregational vote.
Okay.
This was strictly up to our board of directors. And I think one thing people forget is this isn't just a Chad thing. I mean, I'm not just calling all the shots. Obviously, I'm the pastor, so I'm the buck falls on me. But we do have a board. You know, we've got several businessmen that are on there, and so I'm not just ramrodding things through. I mean, there's got to be a majority vote there as well.
What, was it your idea, or was it somebody else's idea?
It's my idea.
It was.
My idea.
Okay.
We're always looking at, you know, my wife and I, we're always looking to look outside the box.
Of course. Where did you? I mean, it's a creative idea. I'm wondering, did you see it done by another church, or where did you come up with maybe the idea of doing that?
I've got some friends, ministry friends. Some are pastors that in business and have done different things and done some things with their church. I've got a friend that, you know, they actually they bought a Walmart, an old Walmart building, and they're in that Walmart, but they have a couple of other tenants that are in there, and so those tenants are, you know, helping to pay the bills, and so that's kind of the way that I looked at it. Is, hey, we can have a hand in this and have that money coming in from that and help, you know, pay our bills. And so we were looking, you know, we knew the sales of the school was going to be coming up at some point. And with that, we'd be looking to buy another property. And so with that additional revenue coming in, that would keep us from having to take out as big of a loan as we would have to without that additional funding. So it's just smart. I'd much rather somebody else pay my bills than me pay the bills, you know.
I wish I could arrange that. So just kind of going forward here, do you see there being any obstacle to this happening? Do you expect the vote to make it, I think you said this Sunday? Is that right?
Yes, this Sunday.
Okay.
Right before service. We're going to do it at 10 o'clock.
And so you expect that to pass?
Oh, yeah. I expect it to be a landslide on there. I'm
Okay.
sure that there's going to be a couple that, you know, will vote against it. And that's fine. But the vast majority of the church, I mean, we're excited about it.
Okay.
And ready to move forward on everything. So
what happens next? Do we have any clues where things go next? What you going to do next?
Well, right now everything's just kind of been pushed off to the side, and we're just focusing on
I get that.
Getting this done. And once that's nearing, and we know that everything's kind of on the clear there, then we'll start moving forward on figuring out where we're going to be moving to.
Because people have asked me, they said, where are they going? Where are they going to move to now? So
I've been telling our whole church, I don't know either. Like,
well, now you can stop asking me, because he doesn't know, then I'm not going to know.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we're just taking care of the first things. There's lots of moving pieces in this, and people forget about that. You know, when you have something like this, it's in the public, and there's public opinion there. You know, everybody's an expert. You know, what you should do, what you shouldn't do, and
I can't imagine what that's like, that feeling.
I know, don't you?
Right. News media never gets any of that.
Yeah. And then people are asking the questions, where are you going? And, you know, but it's just one of those things, there's lots of moving parts. And so you got to take it one step at a time. And when one piece falls into place, well, then we'll work on the next one. So.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see where it goes. Looking forward to hearing the vote, how that comes out this weekend. Yeah. And we'll be back in touch. So thank you for coming in.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it
so much. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in to NEA Report. We're glad to have you in. Remember, you can join us back here tomorrow at 4 o'clock for more news from Northeast Arkansas. We invite you in to join us every single day, Monday through Friday, at 4 for the news here, streaming live to you on your phone, on Facebook. You don't even have to flick on the TV to watch it anymore. I'm Stan Morris. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Have a good night.